What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. So today, the 10-year takedown of YSL. Like I said, if you're a killer, go to jail, do your time. Unless you was defending yourself or unless you was defending like a woman or something. If you just taking folks out because of pride or because of money or because of territory that you don't own, technically, you need to sit down and do a few. If you self-incriminate, get a lawyer before you release anything. Simple.
On May 9th, Fulton County Sheriff's Department took young Thug into custody after what they say was a 10-year-long investigation. Shortly after, arrests were issued for 28 others that include Gunna, Duke, Yak Gotti, and more, who are all under YSL the label. An 88-page indictment was released that revealed all the charges being issued amongst them. Young Thug himself is being considered the organizer and head of operation. He's facing 56 different charges under the RICO Act, where YSL is accused of being a criminal organization. Because authorities have been building this case for almost a decade, we now have access to most of the evidence against them, including some of the more serious charges, which include the murders of over 50 different people. One in particular, a man named Donovan Thomas Jr., also known in the streets of Atlanta by Big Nut. I'll explain why this is important.
You see the shadow in the back of the room. He's the one directing traffic. He is the one they're all afraid of. He's the one that's king slime. He's pulling the shots. He is the most dangerous of the 28, Judge.
Thug grew up in the Jonesboro South Projects in Atlanta's Zone 3 neighborhood. He's the second youngest of 11 kids, to which most of his siblings were involved in the streets already, so he jumped off the porch at a young age and joined the Bloods from Cleveland Avenue. It started with fights at school and eventually led to selling drugs, which would land him 4 years in juvie. He was always looked at as the trendsetter in his hood. People were shocked by his wild behavior, fashion sense, and when he began rapping, even that was different from anything people were used to. He started making music around 2010 and branded his own crew, YSL, which would eventually become his label after gaining mainstream success. But as early as 2013, the Atlanta Police Department had already started their investigation. In August of 2013, Thugger was pulled over for a traffic violation when they found a firearm in his glove box that had been reported missing months before by an elderly woman. The following month, his associate YSL DK would perform a home invasion that took the life of the homeowner. With the letters YSL tattooed on his face, the police had no choice from this point forward to consider it a gang, and they started watching their every move. Over the next 2 years, Young Thug's career would take off, all while authorities kept quiet and waited for him to slip up. At the same time Thug was gaining traction, so was another artist from Atlanta's Zone 3. He went by YFN Lucci. Lucci is from Summer Hill, not far from where Thug grew up. Similarly, Lucci also comes from the streets and reps a blood gang known as ABG. A close friend of his named Big Nut encouraged him to start taking rap more serious after hearing his music. Big Nut was well known in Atlanta, so he helped connect Lucci with higher ups in the industry and get his career off the ground. For that, he had YFN's respect forever. As Thug and Lucci's careers were taking off, so was the tension between both their crews. But things would take a turn for the worse. In January of 2015, 4 members of YSL got the location of Big Nut, who was getting his haircut on McDaniel Street. They got into an Infiniti Q50 rental car and sped to his location.
I think I know the barbershop.
Big Nut was standing outside the barbershop when 4 men drove by spraying automatic weapons, taking his life and injuring 2 bystanders. At the time, police didn't have a clear motive and declared it a gang-related incident, so it remained unsolved. But this event would be the start of an ongoing war between YFN and YSL that would last for years to come and cost multiple people their lives. Initially, only those closely involved knew about the beef, but eventually it leaked into their music and social medias. The biggest mistake both sides made was publicizing their issues, unknowing that the police were watching it play out and now had more information to work with. Lucci's mother house was shot up and YSL DK took multiple shots at YFN members in a drive-by. Of course, YFN retaliated and attempted to take the life of YSL Duke outside Magic City, but failed as well. This was only a few of the incidents that were taking place, but the conflicts would end up splitting Atlanta's hip-hop scene as people took sides. His career was starting to reach the mainstream, and a big part of that was the run he had with Birdman and their group Rich Gang. So when Lil Wayne accused Birdman of owing him $10 million, Young Thug stepped in and began taking shots at Lil Wayne, literally.
What?
In April of 2015, Lil Wayne...
My bad, the
Enjoy
camera
unlimited
glitched out a
DVR
little bit.
storage.
They
Never
saying,
worry
look,
about hidden
what?
fees.
I don't remember this.
In April of 2015, Lil Wayne
I don't
came to
remember
Atlanta to perform at a festival when his tour bus was followed from the airport to Cobb County, and eventually shots were fired into the bus.
Okay, I remember that.
Nobody was injured, but this was still a shocking event. A man named Pee Wee Roscoe was arrested for the crime, and after a few days of investigating, it was revealed he too was a part of Thug's crew. The more crimes that were committed, the easier it became for authorities to slowly piece together all the names of everyone connected to YSL. With all this new information, and also the issues between crews being posted all over the internet, they were able to go back and look over past events as well to see if the dots connected. One of those was the death of Donovan Thomas Jr., or Big Nut, that we talked about. The murder was still unsolved, but with YSL raining havoc in Atlanta, they were looking for any clues that could put them away for good. Now that they knew YSL and YFN had issues, they looked into the case once again. Doing this, they discovered that the Infiniti Q50 that was used in the drive-by was rented by none other than Young Thug from...
I need to say one thing, and I'm just so proud of my dad. He grew up in this environment. His parents raised him in this environment, and my auntie as well. But they overcame. They moved out, to be honest with you. I don't know why. Well, I know why. It's just I wish they stayed and tried to better the community, but you know how that is. Gentrification is going on now. But I'm just glad I had that father in my life that said, "Nah, son, you ain't hanging out with those kids over there. Yeah, you know, that drug money not always sufficient. You know what I'm saying? No, you can't feed your baby off that drug money. It's not always sufficient." That would shit. Big Boy said, "Jesus, I'm tripping." What? Let's get back into
Hertz Rent-A-Center. By now, they had enough evidence to put people away, but it still wasn't solid enough to tie Young Thug to most of the crimes, as he wasn't the one doing the dirty work.
Yeah.
The only way they would be able to get him was if they went after him with a RICO. This would allow them to charge him as the leader of YSL, therefore any crime anybody under him commits, he too could be taken down with them. Meanwhile, they waited patiently while countless more crimes were committed and evidence piled up, all while the years would pass by, giving YSL the impression they may get away with it.
The most important thing that we are here to do is to keep this community safe, and we believe removing these 28 defendants will keep Fulton County safer.
In May of 2022, the arrest warrants for 28 people believed to be a part of YSL were issued. Possibly the most shocking of all was that of Gunna. Although he's clearly known to be the biggest artist repping YSL right now, he's also possibly the only member who's known to not have a criminal background. He comes from the suburbs of College Park, Georgia, and it's well known that he doesn't have a history in street activity. But because he's signed and an associate to YSL, he too found himself in the RICO allegations. His charges only include 2 traffic violations for speeding and tinted windows, as well as his lyrics that they're...
That's why you have to make sure the company you keep will be willing to die for you, ride for you, and everything else. Because if you keep bad company, you're going to have bad activities, and the worst is going to happen. And you don't want to be put in situations like this. If he stayed to himself, possibly took a little extra year, but he could have did it and possibly built his own sound in his own wave. You wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm very, like, when it comes to this music stuff in Atlanta, I'm very, like, cautious of who I talk to, who I work with, all that, because it takes one person. It takes you working with that one dude, and now y'all in the studio, y'all studio get shot up and ran through. You know what I'm saying? Or better yet, you thinking you and your homie cool, people pull up on y'all when y'all chilling, hanging out, and just start spraying. That's why I'm glad my parents told me the stuff they told me, man. Some of my homies are not here. They was in the street life. I got homies. I got cousins in the street life, bro. Like, I understand. Just saying.
Trying to use as evidence that he's a danger to his community. In particular, Young Thug, Gunna, and Yak Gotti's hit song, Take It to Trial. Because of this, his bond was denied.
The allegations, just reading the indictment itself and nothing more, it is so clear that he is entitled to bond. There are, in essence, 2 traffic offenses, and he was found guilty of a window tint violation. That's the RICO allegation with regard to 4 or 5 of the paragraphs of the RICO indictment. The other one claims that he was speeding and got a speeding ticket. Actually wasn't even the driver. And the only other allegations in the RICO indictment involve lyrics for some of his songs, some of which are some of the most internationally famous songs right now.
I saw how you were watching me come closer, closer.
Yep.
But I get it.
Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Uh-oh.
Jeez. You go.
No.
I can't say one more thing. Don't talk about stuff that you ain't really about. The boy came from the suburbs. I technically came from the hood, but moved to the suburbs the older I got. So I wouldn't talk about the hood shit. I would talk about perspective from the suburbs, how the hood mentality seeps into the suburbs, how as soon as you make some money, you want to leave besides trying to better your community, get the drug problem out your community, you know, trying to hire people, do things with the community, have organizations, start organizations once you get money. Like I'm talking about like big, mainstream money or even local stream money. Start something and then just keep growing it. Simple, bro.
Young Thug, on the other hand, has 56 different charges he's fighting that include the shooting of Lil Wayne's tour bus and the death of Big Nut, and possibly 50 others. Not as the man who pulled the trigger, but as the one calling all of the shots. But possibly the scariest part of this case is the fact that he's relying on 27 other people to not turn against him. According to prosecutors, multiple YSL members are already cooperating and claim they fear for their and their families' lives.
That we have taken proffers from fellow gang members from Mr. Williams. Some are on this indictment, some are not. They have stated uniformly that Mr. Williams is dangerous. They are afraid of him, that if they cross him, he will kill them and their family.
Therefore, Young Thug's bond has been denied as well. Meanwhile, police noticed an increase of cell phones trying to be smuggled into jail for YSL members. Instead of confiscating the phones, they decided to wiretap them, then proceed to let them through. Doing this, they've already caught one member who's been unnamed having a conversation about getting evidence destroyed, and they were able to stop it. Only making things worse now that authorities know they're trying to make moves from behind bars. Without bond, they will remain locked up until the trial begins in January of 2023, but with how large this case is, it's likely even that will be pushed back. But if the takedown of YSL wasn't enough, Lil Keed, who was one of the few members signed to the label that was not arrested or accused of anything, he would pass away just 4 days after all of this came to light. To the world, YSL stands for Young Stoner Life Records and has given us countless hit songs. But to Fulton County, YSL is a gang and criminal organization, and they plan to put an end to its name for good.
No, to the world, there was a criminal organization as well. It's just they promoted certain things. And I'm going to be honest with you, the mass media or the social media and everybody else on the phone or on the internet, like, we all like, yo, I like this. Yo, oh my God, this is so different. This is so unique. Hey, I can say I'm at fault with it because when I was younger, I was listening to Kanye, Pharrell, Drake, T-Pain. But I remember for like a year, I was listening to Young Thug. I was listening to Rich Homie Quan. I was listening to Wife and Lucci. I was just a handful of like rappers like that, you know what I'm saying, from the A. And I was in tune with it. But I remember I forgot what it was. I watched the YouTube video and it just broke down the mentality that broke that that little thing. How can I explain? It's like it broke this nigga mentality in a sense of you don't need to rap ignorance. You don't really need to rap about stuff that you ain't really about, or it's hard. It's easy to convince you that I'm a gangbang, like I'm a thug, like hey, I sell dope. Like it's easy to convince you that. It's hard to prove to courts. It's hard to prove to all them federal agents and all the police officers and the judge and the lawyer and the jury stand and all these other people that you're a good dude. I'm a good dude. I'm a good father. Well, right here it says you're a thug, you'll kill people. Right here it says you organize hits on people. It's hard to convince that you're a good guy. Hard to convince that you're a good person, a good to society. That's hard. I ain't saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that's very hard. That's why you have to be very aware of the music you put out. You can't self-incriminate. Simple. I feel sad for Young Thug, you know what I'm saying? Because look at this dude, he was literally going to the top. And just like Rome, he fell. The real question is he gonna get out of this? Let me know what y'all think. Y'all think if you're a killer and you poison your community, not too bad, but to the extent of people, a lot over 50 people died, maybe because of you, in your own town, in your own city, in your own county, your own zone. I'm from Zone 6. You know what I'm saying? Be honest with you, I grew up in Stone Mountain, downtown Atlanta, DeKalb, Ellenwood, Fulton, where else? Tucker, Douglasville, Dallas, Georgia, Cobb County, Smyrna. Boom. That's all the places I rep. So I rep Atlanta. Because all those places, I know it's not technically in the middle of Atlanta, but everything connects to Atlanta. So, I don't know. We all say that from down here. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. Y'all think he should go to jail at least for the next 30 years or even longer than that? Shit, possibly for life. Or y'all think he should be let go free because he's an icon? In some people's eyes, of course. Let me know in the comments below. Peace. Mario the poet.